Well, today we're here at the Galway Hooker Sailing Club to talk to a man who's a boat builder. His name is Sebastian Cassini, and as his tagline, he has craftsmanship as resistance. Now, he's not just any boat builder, he's a wooden boat builder, which is kind of a dying trade, and many people would say it's useless. So we're here to find out about what it is Sebastian is resisting and what it is he gets from his trade and his craft. So join us as we'll go in and talk to Sebastian. Sebastian, thanks for talking to us.
It's a pleasure.
No, it's good to see you. It's good to see you. So you're a boat builder and you've ended up here in Galway working on the Galway hookers.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us about the start of your boat building journey? Where did it begin? Did you always love boats? How did this start for you?
Well, it's kind of a weird story because I come from Italy. That is a country with a very long and strong boating tradition. But I come from the only region of Italy that doesn't have access to the sea. So of the insular part of the country, we come from the mountains, from Umbria. So straight in the middle, straight in the center, and it was always a big issue for us in the past not to have this connection with the sea. It brought to big wars with the Vatican State for the control of salt and a lot of other things. So no, I grew up very far from the sea and very far from boats. I never thought about crossing salt water on myself. So I was in Norway when I stumbled upon my first wooden boat, and by the time I thought it was something very much related, that ended some 200 years ago.
And what were you doing in Norway at the time?
I was working as a carpenter, but in buildings. So I moved there because of I had the opportunity to go for a couple of summer, and I just enjoyed it very much. And then Corona hit, so I kind of got stuck there. And suddenly, I was living there. And at a certain point, just walking around, I found myself in front of my first faring, they call it, so some traditional fishing boats, very small boats, very similar to the Viking ships, but for two people.
Okay.
And when I saw that, just my brain just went off because I was quite bored. I tend to get bored very easily, and working in buildings is all about straight lines and 90 degrees angle. You can get to 45 degrees if you really want to stretch things around, but it doesn't go much more than that. So when I saw a boat and no straight lines and this elegance of shape, I just was
so
fell in love immediately.
It was kind of aesthetic that caught you first. It was, hang on, I'm working with all corners and straight lines. Look at this smooth, sleek-looking, shapely thing.
Yeah,
that's what first kind of captured you.
Absolutely. So I started just hanging out in shipyards to learn more about it, and I would volunteer there. I would go and I would just help people working on their own boats, and I would scrub hulls and do the most basic works, the most dirty stuff.
Yeah.
What they would allow me to do. And
started at the bottom, kind of. Yeah.
And at a certain point, I met my first teacher, and he just he looked at me and he saw that there was, I guess, he saw a little bit of potential, and he just said, okay, if you want to take this thing seriously, let's start learning from the basis, and and slowly I just learned more and more.
And so you've had a few teachers. It wasn't just that first guy, is it? Did you progress to different teachers?
I mean, I look at myself I think I'm learning every day. So my list of teachers is very long, but mostly there have been two people that have been following me and giving me most of the informations.
Did you do most of your apprenticeship? Is it an apprenticeship? Would you?
Yeah, to some extent. I went a very unconventional way, so I don't have any sort of nobody ever released me a paper, or I didn't do any exam. I just spent a lot of time doing this thing.
But still, when you call yourself a boat builder, when you first came to Galway here, and you came to this workshop, and they heard you were an actual boat builder, there was a lot of excitement around?
There was because we are not many left.
Yeah.
We are not many left, and Ireland is kind of losing this knowledge and tradition. So fortunately, the club could rely on a local boat builder until now. but he has nephews and he has like his own couple of boats. So he would rather spend his time somewhere else. He's been fixing and building boats for the last 40 years. And he had enough, I would say, probably.
I had a question I was going to ask you. I was going to ask, when did it stop being a job and become something else? But now I'm thinking, was it ever a job? I mean, was it jobs you were kind of running away from into something that you could be passionate about, something that you enjoyed and you love doing?
I mean, this is like for the last 7 years, this has been my 9 to 5. So it's what pays my bills. It's what like pays my rent.
Yeah.
So it is very much my job. Fortunately, in Norway there is still like enough demand. There are enough wooden boats around for me to actually work on it on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I would say I'm slightly fed up with the Norwegian winter, so I take the chance in winter to move around and learn new techniques, work on different kind of boats, and learn more. But Norway is very much like a country where still this kind of trade is going on.
Is that coming from their Viking history?
Well, from the Viking history, but Norway is a country that historically is very much waterbound. Until the 70s, there wasn't really a decent system of roads in Norway. So, on one side you have a sea that is not the most friendly, but is there and allows you to move a lot of weight, a lot of material around if you need, and move people. On the other side, you have like very steep mountains, and ice on top, and and no roads.
Yeah.
So Norway have been had a very strong tradition with the sea since the very beginning. So for them, it's very normal. Like first thing you learn to bring around is a boat, and then you learn how to ride a bike. So it's that's the way it goes.
You'd think that Ireland being an island, that we'd have some similar tradition that kept going, that wouldn't be dying out as it seems to be. But there seems to be very little boating in Ireland, if that's a way to say it.
Well, for sure there is, like the tradition is there, like the feeling is there. You see it when you go to Connemara, you see when you go to the Aran Island, and you see how the people from there speaks about their boats.
Yeah.
There is passion, there is feeling, there is like a deep love that still you can feel around. But my country is also one with quite a long coast, and still I've seen like our tradition being completely destroyed in the last 50 years.
Yeah.
So now boating is a very expensive hobby. That's what stops most people from approaching it. And it's expensive to learn to sail. It's expensive to have a boat, to maintain it, to have a place where to store it. So I think we are missing kind of the middle gap that goes around like this kind of boat, like small dinghies, small vessels that can be taken out of the water, and like that kind of boats, they allow people to get more of a connection with the sea in first place. Then you go to a bigger boat. We kind of miss that middle ground, and so it's not easy. It's not easy to get out in the water. So it's very important also for club like this to be around a place where you put the effort, you put the work to fix the boats, to take care of them, and in exchange you have the possibility to go out sailing.
And that's the prize.
Yeah. It's the prize, but it's also like the possibility, and we had a small chat before, so I believe in this kind of like very on the connection of things. And if you go out and you experience the sea, you cannot look at the water with the same kind of careless kind of approach. Like if you leave the sea, you're going to be more respectful toward it. So and concerned on the way that it's used, in the way that it's misused. So I think it's just important for people to get closer to this element.
So it's very much it's very different from most of us. Me being an urban city dweller, I drive past the sea all the time. I'm right on the coast, but I don't have the same appreciation as somebody who's been out on a boat, and not just a boat. I mean, being out on a ferry that doesn't really move much is different from being out on a curragh or a small boat like that. You really get to feel the sea and connect with the sea.
Yeah.
Wood. Wood is your main material that you use. Why not plastic? Why not metal? Why is wood what you are passionate about? What grabs you? The aesthetics of it, everything.
I think initially it was just the fact that I had more experience with it. So working, I was already a carpenter, and I knew how wood could be used. And in the object boat, I just found a new challenge, because you just use wood in a very unconventional way for what are now today's standards. So that was what fascinated me at the very beginning. Now, like, that discourse got to be like way wider, because what I find amazing about all the, like the about my daily work is that it could be on everybody's possibilities to try build a boat with wood. So I don't think glass fiber or steel is as friendly
Okay.
to a beginner.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. And yeah, just going back to this whole connection between things, like the more I work with wood, the more I'm concerned about like where wood comes from, where wood, like how it have been treated, how it have been, sourced, and so now I'm concerned about like the forest that we have around. I'm concerned about the woods, because it needs to provide like wood material and to provide what we need to build boats. You need to have a very like long distance kind of thinking. You need to be, it's kind of a cliche thing, but you need to plant today the trees that are going to be ready in 80 years to build boats. And it's really like, it's not just a poetic way of looking at things. It is the reality. Like, I don't see any care put on a management of the forest and of the woods that is like that would provide good materials for the future. And this is my concern, like when it comes to boats. But we also, trees, besides giving us wood, they also give us the air that we breathe, and they hold like mud from sliding down and submerging cities. Like it's a wide issue.
So that using wood then, it connects you to something larger. It connects you. It's not just a material. It connects you to a larger kind of ecosystem.
Yeah.
And a long-term understanding of not just the material, but what brought about the material.
Yeah.
How would, let's say I wanted, okay, I have a very rudimentary understanding of wood. So what's the difference between planting a tree specifically for a boat and say just picking any tree, cutting it down, this wood will do? Which is what I do. I wouldn't be able to see what you see in timber for specific uses.
Yeah, I don't think it's the real question. The thing is that nowadays it's very hard to find the trees that are 150 years old, like and cut them light-hearted. It's not something that you can do.
Yeah.
It's not really it's not only about the material that you get at the end of the process of repair. Because back in the days they would prepare wood like specifically for boats. They would just like when it comes to pine trees and spruce, they would just like trim the branches on the lower part of the tree and just leaving the one on the top. So like the tree would grow like as fast as possible, and it wouldn't have many knots due to the branches along the stem. So like that would provide like better planks for planking the boats. But this is quite of a stretch. The problem is that now there aren't like old forests where you can source properly grown wood, like tight grains and a tree that took its proper time to grow.
And where has all that wood gone? Has it been all put into boats in the past, or?
Some of it for sure. Depends. Every country has a different history when it comes to that.
Well, Ireland was a rainforest at one time, I believe.
Yeah. I don't know very much about the history of Ireland itself, but for sure, like there aren't many forests left. I've seen charts like just showing how little trees are left in Ireland. I think the years of occupation has had a lot to deal with that, since what happened in Scandinavia is like most of the forests have been cut down and purposed like to the production of ships during the Napoleonic Wars and onward. So like Holland, there have been a country of great sailors and great ships Holland doesn't have the forests to just provide the wood to such an industry. So like Scandinavia had been like the sourcing point for that, and also England had a huge fleet. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't see the English now concerning themselves with cutting down all the forests of Ireland.
We blame the English for everything here anyway. So if you want to just say the English, we'll buy that. We're good with that.
Yeah, but I think it's also quite realistic. I could see that happening.
Absolutely.
For sure, at a certain point, England started sourcing wood like from all over Europe where they could find it. So there was a concern during the Napoleonic War, like in the countries that were the producers of ships. They would say, okay, now we need to stop cutting trees. It wouldn't be a concern for them to cut trees elsewhere, but it's very much our modern mentality as well.
Yeah.
So, but
Absolutely.
IKEA have been like dismantling like the forest of Sweden when they started their production. Now they source their wood they used to source their wood in Russia until the last years. But,
Recent events.
Yeah.
But to IKEA, we see IKEA as the ones who post us all our flat packed furniture. We get our tables, we get all the other bits and stuff. But when you see that stuff, possibly because of your link and the link you have with wood, the connection you have with wood, you see back further and okay, where did that wood come from? Yeah. It's a different view of material of the world and how it's connected.
Yeah, and I see so many like I see more furnitures of IKEA thrown away than the one that I see being purchased, and so like all that wood is wasted.
Yeah.
And old pieces of furniture, all wardrobes and stuff built like in 1800, 1900 are now pieces of history, and they are very valued, and they're still good. They're still around. They still do their job. So
how does this old wood? I mean, you showed me a piece of wood 120 years ago that looked really solid.
Yeah.
How does this old wood stay like that, keep so well?
It needs a whole line of production that is devoted to prepare the wood. So our concern nowadays is just to have the material ready as fast as possible. So we toss it in kilns, and like the forests are like 365 days a year we are cutting down trees, and we are splitting them and dry them, and so back in the days you had to take care with you had to put a lot of care and attention on how you do all these steps. So there were specific time of the years when to cut the trees. There were specific time of the years to dry the wood, because you couldn't just toss it in a kiln. You have to do it outside or like on a structure, just like devoted to that. So the humidity in the air, the period of the year was very important, of course.
The humidity in the air.
Yeah.
So not just for the comfort of the guys who were out doing it, but there was something about the material that the humidity in the air.
Yeah, the whole point, like the main thing when it comes to wood is that the plant has water inside it, and this water is the weak point. That on the long run, a tree wasn't like Mother Nature didn't make trees to be to provide materials to humans. So once the tree dies, it's the nature of things that is just gonna rot and fade away. While what we are trying to do is just to get rid of the humidity that is in the fibers to allow the wood to stay, to maintain as long as possible. So how can you do that? Well, you can be careful of which time of the year you are cutting the tree. So in winter there's gonna be less water in the fibers because there are no leaves on the branches. So there is no reason for this water to be in the fibers in first place, so the tree doesn't do all that kind of operation. So winter is the time to cut it, but then you need to store it, and of course it's going to be better to store it in summer where there is less rain. Talking about the rest of the world, not Ireland.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We got plenty.
But summer is a better time to dry the wood, and then it all comes down to trying to get rid of as much free water in the fibers of the wood as possible.
Yeah.
But if you have to provide the wood to IKEA to produce that amount of material, you need to cut down trees every day of the year. You need to dry it every day of the year. It needs to be moved around countries and sea and whatnot, and it needs to be ready to just be used as it would be easier to build that kind of stuff out of plastic. They just need the straight fibers. They just need like no knots. They just need they need wood. They are hungry for wood, and they don't care like where it comes from or how it's harvested, how it's prepared. It just doesn't have to warp too much when they use it. So just toss it in our oven. It's gonna roast it, and it's gonna be ready to be used. Doesn't matter how much energy is gonna be spent, because that's also a concern.
Yeah.
Like a kiln, like to kiln dry wood is not a cheap process neither.
You have to produce heat, I guess.
Yeah, and of course throughout this whole process we lose a lot of things that for us boat builders are essential. So if you look at a boat and all the round shapes that are there, it's easy to understand that I'm interested in all the weird pieces of wood that I can find. So all the crooks, all the branches, all the connections, like with the roots where these lines take a twist, for me are essential pieces that I'm gonna use to follow the shape of the boat when I'm building it.
Okay.
All this stuff is just on the way of mass production.
Yeah.
So nowadays it's very hard to go to a sawmill and find these pieces. So I need to harvest them myself most times.
So like the IKEA idea or the mass manufacture idea, like if they want to see if there's moisture in the wood, they just use a moisture meter and walk away, and that's kind of all the interest that they have. This is just this immediate piece of knowledge about this piece of material in front of them. But you're looking at it and you want to know the old way. You want to know the seasons that it was cut down in, how it was stored. And you have use for the natural shapes that come in the wood. You don't just want to put it into a pulp or force it into the shape that's useful or that's pragmatic for a desk or whatever.
Yeah.
So again, it's kind of shown your deeper relationship with the material.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, it's unavoidable. It's unavoidable.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also a beautiful way to live. I heard she was an old hippie lady and she was a philosopher, but I heard her saying something. She said every time a human relationship comes apart, it creates a gap for capitalism to fill. And this is what we call gaps in the markets, is actually breakdowns of human relationships. But I think something you're describing is the gaps between human and the rest of nature have also become gaps in the market for capitalism to fill. And then, of course, it's incentivized to keep us away from that stuff because it can sell us what we used to get from nature. I sense a lot of that stuff in your work. You're not the only passionate boat builder. There's a lot of volunteers, and you were once a volunteer yourself.
Yeah.
There's a lot of volunteers. I met a lovely fellow with you last time, Ed. And they come from all over the world. And it's not just the wood boat projects here, it's the wood boat projects in other parts of the world. You've been on a few, I imagine. Is this the case everywhere? There's volunteers who, instead of going on a holiday to Haiti or not Haiti, maybe Hawaii might be a better destination now. But instead of going on holiday there, they choose to use their month or their 2 weeks to come and work on a boat.
Very much so. Very much so. It's all a word that when it comes to traditional vessels nowadays, the whole industry relies a lot on just the love and passion of people, big time. It's very common on tall ships to have most of the crew. It's going to be made of volunteers.
Yeah.
So just the most technical people, and the same thing happens in the shipyard. So I'm gonna be in Sweden in 2 weeks' time to work on one of the biggest wooden ships in the world, and beside the people that they have the knowledge and the responsibility over the project, everybody else is volunteers.
That's it. It's
that's
amazing.
what keeps the ball rolling. Yeah.
It's amazing too, because it's not normally when you hear of volunteering things like this, it's mostly about charity work. But this is not about charity work. It's about building something together. And do you think it's a love for the boats themselves, or is there something else people are getting from this?
My personal experience when it comes to traditional vessels in general is the boat is a weird organism. It really has the power to bring people together. There is this old, really almost this ancestry thing for which, like, when you are on a boat together, like, humanity is just drawn to what is most important, that is like to keep the boat afloat. So I think what draw like, beside how cool just a wooden boat is, just people are drawn to it for the experience, and everybody goes home with a different kind of understanding of priorities. Really, it's a wonderful experience, and one that I would. We work a lot with the youth, with young adults, and for them it's an incredibly important experience. Also, when we are, I'm also a sailor besides being a boat builder, and working on the ships gives like that sort of opportunity. It's almost a military kind of environment, because you get orders, and those orders needs to be followed as quick and as precisely as possible for the final goal of just bringing like this massive piece of wood and canvas forward, like just split the waves and go fast and go places.
Yeah.
And it just brings a lot of energy to the whole experience, and it teaches especially the youth like a lot of consistency and rigor and method and a lot of important stuff.
Yeah.
To the final purpose of satisfaction, of doing something together that it wouldn't be possible like in the hands of a single person. But if we stick together and we do it together, it's suddenly reality.
And really on a boat, the stakes are so high that you work together in a compatible way, and because boats sink, so them stakes aren't really so high for kids now. We've made the world so safe and sanitized, largely, at least where we live most of the time, that being on a boat really creates a different environment. All of a sudden, oh no, you have to do it or this thing can sink.
Yeah, I think it's responsibility comes also like in a matter of meters.
Yeah.
So you feel a lot of responsibility when you are 20 meters high on a mast, for instance.
Yeah.
It's tough work, like most of the times we don't have we cannot use safety equipment when it comes to like dealing with the rigging of tall ships. So climbing up and down the mast is still something that you need to do free of ropes and anything that can be on the way of your free movement. So you don't secure yourself until you are static in a place and you have to do a work. But climbing up and down a mast is something that happens under 20 knots of wind, and and if you fall from 10 meters, you're falling on a steel deck. It's not, it's no joke.
Yeah. There's no net.
You are responsible for yourself, and it's and as you say, after being pampered on an environment that never puts like yourself in any danger, like it is quite a shocking experience.
It's a wake-up call.
Yeah.
Listening to you speak, I get a sense that, especially the kids and stuff like this, the imagery I have is, you ever seen Avatar?
I think I've seen the first movie when I was quite young, yeah.
Well, I don't want to call them aliens, but the creatures in it, they have a tail, and they hook this tail up to nature and this kind of synapses, and they get a feeling for nature around them. That seems to be what kind of you're giving to children when you bring them out in the boat, when you tell them about the wood and the connection and where it's come from and how this can bring you onto a sea, and then they're in connection with the sea. There's a real connection that is coming from this stuff to nature, to material.
Yeah.
If there's even a difference between nature and material.
Yeah, and something I was thinking when you were saying about like the hippie lady, philosopher or not. The thing is, like, I really don't like a spiritual point of view over this topic is something that I get as a byproduct. But like on the main point, I'm a very practical person. I'm a craftsman. And that's where my interest lies.
Yeah.
And all this feeling of connection and symbiosis between humans and nature and this and that is for me a very practical and very pragmatic kind of thing. But of course, like my brain and also like the vision of the kids that they experience like boat building with us or adults. I mean, these days I'm working with the members of of the club, and they are grown men and women, and like the effect is just the same. It's unavoidable to grow some sort of sensibility for what you're doing. An example, just to clarify what I'm talking about. Norway is a country with very little soil. It's mostly stone. It's stone, and then on the top there is like a tiny layer of dirt that have been like piling up through the millennium. So trees, they don't have the chance to go looking for water very deep in the ground. They just like the roots of the trees are gonna move on that very surface level of things. So when building different kind of boats, when it comes to the front line of the boat, so where the keel meets like the very front of the boat, that line of intersection between like the water and the vertical part of the boat is going to have a different pitch, a different inclination, depending on the design that you're going to build. So in Norway, that part is normally made with no connections. There is no joining point between like the keel and the front of the boat. So normally what you look for, it's a bend in the wood that can match that pitch.
Okay.
You're normally gonna use the point where the roots, they meet the base of the log of a tree. So if I'm building a boat that has like a 45-degree angle on its bow or a 90-degree angle, I'm just gonna go in different places. Since there is no soil, like there is no soil deep down, if I go on a hill that has a 30 degrees of slope, I will have a tree that goes down, and then like the main root of the tree is gonna go look for water downhill.
Okay.
So that inclination of the hill is gonna give me the 30 degrees of angle that I need for the root to go and make the front of my boat.
Okay.
So at that point I just like go around and I enjoy the landscape and I enjoy nature, but I don't look at hills and valleys and mountains with the same kind of
no, you don't.
of feeling.
You definitely don't look at them the same as I do. No, not the same as most people do.
So it's that kind of curiosity, it's that kind of interest that it's just unavoidable to bring with you when you start getting passionate or getting interest into the matter.
Yeah. You said you're a sailor as well as a boat builder. Can you be one without the other? Well, can you be a boat builder without being a sailor? Yes.
Well, I like to look at boats and think that they are like very big musical instruments. They're just, a boat is a very big cello. It's the biggest standing bass you can find around. But look at, guitar makers are very seldomly they are musicians.
Okay.
Because, you cannot have the right nail to play the guitar if you are building instruments. No, but it is possible. I think like you need to be a little bit of you need to spend a little bit of time on the water just to understand the dynamic of the boat to be a good boat builder. But you're going to end up spending too much time in the workshop to have the time to sail. Yeah, I'm afraid. Okay. But on the other hand, if you are the skipper, if you are the owner of a wooden boat, you should know a little bit of boat building, because taking care of the boat and fixing it is going to be part of the experience. There is no way that you're going to avoid that.
Yeah, that's something about boats, isn't it? They're very hard to upkeep. I mean, the water's always trying to get in.
It's a job. Yeah. It's like as you are challenging a very ancient god when you get out in the water, Yes. Like as humans and the wood and steel and plastic, these are not things made for the salt water. So of course it's a job to keep them dry and to keep the water out. That's not what the water wants to do.
And I suppose that's not what the wood wants to do either, is it? It wants to let it in and rot and go away and become something else.
Yeah, I'm actually astonished that that steel, like all these things, they come together with such an equilibrium that allows us to even like to be bold enough to try. Yeah. It's incredible how these things sometimes they come together.
It is incredible when you're doing the work itself. It seems so different to working in a factory, or so different to working on a production line, or even in retail or something. You're so connected to the work, to the material. Do you find yourself getting lost in it sometimes, as in, oh my God, it's 8 o'clock already and I didn't realize I'd completely lost time?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're all-
Sometimes, like, especially when it comes to more repetitive jobs, or when I stumble upon something that doesn't require too much thinking, the job just turns into meditation. At a certain point, the hands are doing their things, and I just find myself daydreaming.
That's, you mentioned your hands. I was going, another question I was going to ask is kind of deep philosophy or whatever, but where do you think that knowledge you have is stored? Is it in your head, or is it in your body? Is it in your hands? Obviously, it's a mixture of both, but
yeah, there is an equilibrium there. Like the brain, of course, stores like the concepts, but you don't go anywhere without a good degree of muscle memory. I'm very clear about that to the people that they come to my courses and they are learning boat building. So I try to be very clear about that, not to get frustrated, not to get get angry with yourself because you don't accomplish something, because muscle memory is a thing, and it requires a lot of time and a lot of trial and error and a lot of repetition to just get in the spot. And it's the same thing once again with music. Whatever good musician has just refined their technique, but that also means that the tendons and the muscle are doing exactly what they are supposed to do. Okay. So that's sometimes I cannot really be any proud of myself, because it seems like my hands are doing all the job, and I'm just witnessing the process happening.
Your eyes are just along for the ride. Huh?
Yeah, and it's really true. And I think it's also what makes you're talking about factory work, and I think I get asked very often, because still my job is something that is very much rooted to the use of hand tools. So, I have my hand planers, I have my axes, I have my chisels, and these are the things that I use on a daily basis. Like most of the time I'm going to use those things. I of course have heavy machineries that they help me preparing and squaring wood, where they save me time when it comes to the rough work. But if I have to follow a progressive curved line that is just following the shape of the hull of a boat, to match those lines with a control machine is it's almost impossible. So for me, it's way faster, it's way more effective to do it by hand.
Okay.
What is the problem there is that I think there have been a process, power tools have been something that took over the industry, not really to help the workers. I think it's way more something that is on the good use of who owns a business. Because my kind of knowledge, it took me years to learn how to use a planer the way I use it.
Yeah,
it's like the muscle memory is there, and the knowledge is there, and I know how to fix it, I know how to sharpen it, I know how to operate it. And same thing an axe. By now I've seen people that are way better than me, but you can use an axe as a precision tool. It just takes a lot of time to get there, and a lot of mistakes and a lot of years of experience to get there. What is the problem? A router, it's an expensive piece of machinery that you can buy and you can give it to a worker, and in a week of training they can use it. The problem is that if that worker is not useful anymore, you can just discard it and bring somebody in and teach him how to use a router in 10 days, and the money that they've been invested in the tools, they're going to stay in the workplace.
Yes.
While my knowledge is something that I'm going to bring with me wherever I go, and it's what gives me part of my value. But this is very dangerous for somebody that hires me, because my skills are not something that can be bought or sold, or just not you can't just have no consideration for it.
There's a sensitivity, I feel like, that you're talking about in your body through the tools to the material. That is like something like tuning a musical instrument. Just that whole relationship, that you can feel what the wood is doing, what the blade of the plane is doing to the timber, that it just, all you get from a router is vibrations.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's a sensitivity, and that sensitivity is a type of, it's a type of knowledge, a type of muscle memory knowledge that becomes intuition, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think you're dead right. I think that's what the Ford factory done, what Henry Ford done was, hang on, these guys are too skilled. They've way too much power over me. You know, I need to make it so I can switch them in and out.
Yeah, I want them disposable.
I want them disposable. Whereas craftsmen, genuine craftsmen, are not disposable. This brings me on to something that is very intriguing to me about you, and that's your tagline: craftsmanship as resistance.
Yeah.
It's a lovely saying, and it can say so much, but explain to me what you mean by that.
Yeah, I think there are two ways to look at it. So on one side, what I'm thinking about when I come out with such a sober statement like that is I believe that politically, like, craftsmen are very dangerous elements of society, because just because of what we've been talking about until now, when you have like a knowledge of the material and you know how much effort it goes like into the process of creating stuff, and when you can establish like the quality of the work and the quality of the material used, it's very hard to play a craftsman into fast fashion, for instance, or to just like follow like the advice of commercials. Like there's going to be a critical thinking into like the choices that we make when facing whatever kind of product that makes us not as easy to influence, I think.
Yeah.
And that's my very personal political view, and it's not necessarily like correct. But I have very little faith nowadays into into the election process and into voting. So I think that today, the world, like the wider world, just views like individuals as just like bags of money walking
Consumers.
around. So I think very much like that, the way that we spend our money, the way that we decide to invest like on products, like it's a reflection of it has like a weight on politics way more than our vote every 4 years has. So the way that me refusing to buy fast fashion, me refusing to buy products that are sourced without any kind of care for the people that made them, it's a daily political decision. And I think, I don't find myself personally like doing it in an active way and struggling like with the mentality of it. It's just that my hands, they don't appreciate like a material that is not up to my standard, and I don't like a piece of furniture that doesn't have like joints and connections, that they show no respect for the material and no love for the job that had been done there. So for me, it's not a struggle. It's just a daily choice that I take without thinking about. So that's one view of what like resistance through craftsmanship can be.
That's a beautiful way to look at it, I think. You know what I mean? Because as you say, it's an everyday living. It's not going out to march.
Yeah.
And it's probably more impactful than the marches. And so I get a sense that what you're resisting is the shallowness, this consumer society that's disconnected not only from nature and the rest of the world, but we're becoming disconnected from each other in this uber connected world. You know what I mean? There's a depth of connection that's becoming lost.
Yeah.
And I like how you relate craftsmanship to staying within that connection because of your connection and your knowledge to the material. It maintains that depth of connection. And not only in your craft, but you look around the world and you see craft or the lack of craft in the rest of the world. And so you see craftsmanship as a resistance to that shallow consumerism.
Yeah.
I really think there's something really genuinely nice in that. And do you, like in Galway here now, we have a few markets where there's small craftsmen and small.
Yeah.
Would you go around them and look and recognize other crafts? And would you recognize that kind of sensibility in another craftsperson?
Definitely.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, yeah, and I think it's very easy for us also to recognize each other. Like it's by the way we just like I don't know. It's we are connected by a same kind of like sensitivity in what we do, and the experience is it's a common point on all of us. Of course, I'm talking about people that I actually do the job, and I am not interested in the final result. I'm not interested in me liking or not liking what these people make. But they've been sitting at the table, they've been sitting at a workbench, and they've been like creating something. So we can understand each other through that experience, and they all like had that moment of of meditation when your hands are working and your brain is somewhere else, and that brings us together. And like another interesting thing that I see like in craftsmen is that there is a playfulness in fixing things that is common to us all. It starts to be like quite a challenge to try fix things and like to put them back to use. So the patches on our pieces of clothing, so like it's normally quite a giving,
So you
giving sign of a craftsman.
They don't throw things away.
No, they don't, and like for me, it's it gives like more meaning to the objects I have. I don't have the time to make everything for myself.
Yeah.
But I often find the time to fix the stuff that I own already. So like my trousers, they last me decades, and like when I really get to the point that there is no more life to squeeze out of them, it's quite painful to throw them away. It's but they've been with me for a while, and I've been stitching them together with dental floss. So when I had nothing else like to stitch them, so it's fun, and I see that as a common ground, like when it comes to craftsmen in general.
Yeah, that's recognizable, and that's lovely, and that's I guess that's the way you can spot each other across a room.
Yeah. If there is something else I can add before like we drift too far from that and it doesn't make sense anymore. These days we've been building the Korak, and I've been giving like courses to the members of the club for the last 4 months. Another thing that I find very important of this whole process is that now that the boat is starting to get a shape and it starts to really look like something that can go in the water. The other day, some people, they came to me and they just told me, now I want to build my own Korak. Now, like I want to build like a small boat myself. This one, but another kind of shape. But I would like to do that nowadays. And I find in that kind of empowerment, in that moment in which you realize that actually, you can do it. Like these same people, they came here 4 months ago and they were just curious about the courses, but they were saying, I could never do this thing. Now they have the bravery and the madness to just say, I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
And maybe it doesn't work, but I can try again.
Yeah.
And I think this is also like another of these like weird concept that I'm trying to slowly, break apart when I do my daily job. The fact that nowadays I see there is a lot of people are requested a degree of performance in what they do that is really out of place. It seems that you cannot be a musician if you're not Jimi Hendrix level. Like playing the guitar just to play a couple of tunes is not enough. You cannot be a painter unless you make like super realistic portraits that they just pinpoint the last hair of your beard. Like if you do anything else than that, you're just like, why do you even try? Yeah. And this kind of performative like request that society has toward us, due maybe not social media or like a television that brings us only like a very polished image of things. It just brings us away from even trying, questioning the fact that maybe you could be able to stitch that pair of trousers that you would like to have, or to build a boat that you would like to have to cross the water, or to fix the car, like whatever kind of things. But the word is really like putting ourselves into doubting about the possibilities of our hands, and something that is extremely important for me. I'm very proud of my job, and I like very much what are the products of my struggles are. But I'm very conscious, and I am very strict into forwarding the idea that everybody can do what I'm doing. It's just a matter of dedicating enough time and having the right informations and be curious enough. but I'm not doing anything crazy, anything that, like I'm not. There is no magic in what I do, really, and it's anybody could do it. It's just a matter of trying.
I really love that. It really speaks to me what you said there. Yeah, and I hadn't, I guess, looked at it like that, but it definitely speaks to me what you're saying. Even what I'm trying to do, doing a podcast here, and I'm like, oh, it has to be this, that, and the other. But give it a go, have a lash at it, and see what you come out with.
Yeah,
and it's not necessarily the finished product we're after, is it? It's the doing of it. There's an intrinsic worth in actually doing the thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that I definitely, when I tip around with wood and love working with wood and sand down a few things, but there's something about the actual doing of it that I like. I could almost throw away what I've built, but it's the doing of it sometimes that I really appreciate.
Yeah.
So looking to do things for, as you said, this perfect product at the end is missing the point.
Yeah.
It's missing the point of doing many things.
Yeah, it's the same thing with traveling, no? Like the comparison is very easy, no? How much the meaning is in the process more than getting to the final destination, no?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good analogy.
That's it. And I think nowadays, most of people, they travel to have the final result of a picture to show like on social media, and they miss like the moment in which they are there experiencing the thing.
Absolutely.
I am a traveler myself. I love my motorbike, and I love to fix it more than riding it very often. But it's just that kind of that kind of feeling that it's really, I think, important to shift the focus and just enjoy the process way more than the result, because there is also much meaning there. Yeah. And that is also it relates to my life on of many different levels. So for me, it's nice to go to holiday those 2 weeks a year, but I need to find fulfillment in what I'm doing throughout the process that brings me there.
Yeah.
And I could not live now, with the standards of a craftsman, I could not accept a life that forces me to do something that I don't believe into and that I don't enjoy throughout, all the process that brings me in the end to have, the money to buy myself a new motorbike or to go in holidays for those 2 weeks. I need to enjoy the process. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense.
We lose so many right nows for imagined futures. You know what I mean? That we don't concentrate on every day, on every moment, on everything that we're doing.
Yeah.
Because we're lost on thoughts of what the future can be, should be, will be. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
It's like the craftsmen building the cathedrals.
Yeah.
Like people are so geared to an end product.
Yeah.
Those guys who were building those cathedrals, they knew their grandchildren wouldn't even see it finished.
Yeah.
And when people talk about that cathedral in Barcelona, you get odd comments that, well, why don't they just finish it? And they're kind of missing the point. That's the creation of it. That's fun.
No. That's good. That's good.
But it's really important.
No. It's a good point. I think you stated it well. I think you spoke very well there. When we spoke last, you were getting phone calls from Antarctica.
Yeah.
I don't speak with many people who are getting phone calls from Antarctica.
No.
So you must know a lot of sailors.
Yeah, well, or a lot of penguins.
You don't use phones. I'm not going to believe that. But the Arctic in that area is very very important right now. It seems to be very prominent in people's minds, Greenland and all that.
Yeah.
Do you hear any stories from the boats around there? Because the seas around there are seeming to be very important. Do you get any feedback from sailors or people up?
Yeah, I do. And it's very hard to stop sailors. So more than often, they end up in places where, not necessarily everybody goes, and sometimes in places where they shouldn't be.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm hearing quite some weird stories, from the north especially.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of movement, a lot of weird boats going around.
Really?
I mean, I hear from people like traveling, like doing expeditions like in North Sea, and it's quite common for them like to stumble upon war frigates in the Northern Sea. That's
And
quite.
Who owns them war frigates?
Yeah, no, plenty people. Like mostly they are talking about Danish frigates, but this is just like the experience of somebody that stumbled upon a whole fleet of ships in the middle of the sea. But that's the ships they stumble upon. It's a very interesting place at the moment. So there is a lot of activity actually in the water around there.
Yeah.
But we have this thing in Oslo now. It's for the last few years we had like the biggest battleship, like American battleship that just comes and visits us every couple of years. It's now I don't have like the data at hand, but it has like nuclear reactors on board, I think on board it's a plane carrier.
Okay.
So for what I understood, they have more planes on that ship than Norway has as a country. So, and they just do that. They just leave from New York or from whoever like their home harbor is, and they just like cross the Atlantic, come to Oslo, have a beer in town, and then they go back. Just to show that they can deploy like the biggest ship they have, and they can be in Norway in 45 hours if they want to.
Yeah. So it's who owns the seas, I guess. Yeah.
There is a lot of distracting actually going on in the north, just because it's so challenging, the environment. So like the Danes, they have a special force that every 4 years they just like cross from the south of Greenland by sleds and on foot. They just get to the top northern point of Greenland and they come back just to show that they can do it, just to show that this is our land and this is what we're used to deal with.
Yeah. And that it can be protected and doesn't need to be taken over. There's I think the Greenlanders themselves have a different idea of private property than most of the West, anyways. So
I have to say, like the discussion these days is going like in every direction. But I have to say, if you want to step your boots on a country and you want to rule it without the compliance of the local population, like a place like Greenland is a hell of a place to deal with. These people have been used to deal with a climate and a country that is not a kind one at all. I don't think it's easy to rule a population against their will in such an environment.
Yeah, Napoleon in Russia comes to mind. If people start going up there trying to mess with them,
I wouldn't go mess around with the Tuareg in the Sahara Desert because they just need to leave me alone for 12 hours and it should be enough to just destroy me.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's also a thought I have. I have a lot of respect for these people. I've been dealing a little bit with the Sami, with the natives, like in Scandinavia. And just the way that they deal with their environment is so much beyond my possibilities. That is humbling. It's very humbling.
And they'd be kind of they'd be indigenous. So the idea of craft to them and the idea of craft that you have as well would be very similar, wouldn't it?
It's nice because it's a nice contact point that we can find, like to have an exchange. So
Yeah, I just imagine them looking at a lot of Western people, then seeing the patches on your clothes and going, "I'll talk to that guy." that's the guy who's like me. Yeah? He stitches his own clothes. He knows. Yeah.
It's interesting. Craft is a lingua franca.
Yeah, craft as a way of.
An antidote to all this stuff. I'm just trying to,
No. Craft as a lingua franca. Yeah, as something that translates over languages.
But it's very true. Like, wherever I go in Northern Europe, like if I go to a shipyard and there are wooden boats, for me it's family.
Yeah.
I'm gonna find people up to help me, host me, and share a meal. Just because we share the same experience, even if we never met.
Yeah.
It is definitely a thing. So you're up to something.
It's a community. So this craftsmanship, and it's like the boat building thing seems to be a community that's built around the boats with all the people that are willing to volunteer just to come. They must be, it's kind of a weird utilitarian way of thinking of it, but they must be getting something from it. They must, they're not going home with gold in their pocket.
Yeah.
They're getting something from it.
Once again, I feel the need of forwarding like a philosophy when it comes to that. Now, when I try to teach and stuff, I am very conscious of the fact that I wouldn't be the person I am today, like professionally. I mean, but a different level, I guess. But I wouldn't be the craftsman I am today if I didn't have somebody teaching me the things I know. So, due to this process, I also feel the responsibility on my shoulders to be open and willing to share the information I have with the others. And I have to say, it's not necessarily a natural thing to happen. Like until in the past, this kind of knowledge was cherished and it was kept as secret. Think about like the medieval guilds, like the stonemasons. Like there were professionals that they were bringing their secrets with them, and there were secret societies. That was the seriousness that there was around these kind of things. Like you have how they call it, like we're talking about cathedrals, like the Freemasons, but it's they have the Compagnon in France that they are the medieval guilds. They were using like a bunch of of knowledge that was generally like very much based on solid geometry, and they would call it stereotomy. It was just like this bunch of like knowledge of geometry and math that were very practical, and they would mix it with religion and magic and just make it into like this bundle of knowledge that was kept as a secret in the society. So a blacksmith would never share the tricks and secrets of smelting metal, and a carpenter or a stonemason would not share like the formulas that he uses like to calculate angles. So in some environments, I feel that the pride and the jealousy of the craft still keeps people from sharing their informations for personal pride and personal jealousy, and I find it so humiliating when it comes to something as noble as craft for like the way that I have to look at it. So this is another thing that for me is very important to forward, like the necessity of sharing these informations, because like the more knowledge, the more the more technical knowledge that you have is not gonna, or that you share, is not gonna take away any of the personality that you put on the things you do. So your product is always gonna be a very natural expression of yourself. It's not like the trick is not the mathematical formulas that is gonna give you that little bit more that makes your work special. Your work is gonna be a reflection of the person you are, and there is no way out of it. Nobody else is gonna do the same thing as you are doing it. So there is no point on being jealous about our knowledge.
No, I think that's great advice, and it's something I hear you saying. You were wanting to open doors rather than close them. But something you said, the work is an expression of the self who made it, and you also seem to be saying that the work has formed who you are as well. So there's I guess, when does the self stop and the work begin, and how there's an intermingling there, an interdependency, an interrelationality?
For me, it never does. I cannot do this thing. I cannot get at 5 o'clock in the evening and just say, clock off and just say, okay, now
Now I can be myself.
now I'm real me. Like I'm real me now in the workshop. This is like this is the person I am.
Yes,
and I bring it around everywhere. It's just like there've been like a blur between these two things that now it's just like the person I have. But I find meaning in that. Like I don't want to have to spend 8 hours of my day doing something that is not
you,
that has no resonance with the person I am. So I don't blame and I don't shame people doing something different from what I'm doing. But I'm just like I would just hope for them to have the possibility to try at least once in their life to devote themselves to something that resonates with what they believe and what they feel, what they want to do. And I don't know how exactly I ended up here. It took a little bit of bravery and a little bit of madness, but it was worth the process.
Yeah.
So I just think that what pains me is that I am aware of being part of a very small percentage of people that are actually happy of devoting their life into something that they enjoy doing.
Yeah.
And this is it's crazy for me, no? Like when if I think about it, I have then a couple of like seconds that I just like walk around the road and I look at humanity with different eyes, and I'm kind of scared.
Yeah.
Like it's
it is a change from the kind of the performative that you talked about earlier. That's so common now that most of us seem to embody for most of our lives. Like we go in and perform and work for 8 hours a day, or we feel like we get to be ourselves at the weekend, but that's more of a release of tension or whatever than it is being oneself. But I find myself being slightly jealous of you that you're able to be yourself all the time, and the work you do, it both embodies yourself and you embody the work that you do, you know. It's a beautiful way to live.
I know I'm blessed. I know it's not something that I should give for granted, like at all. So like I know that I'm privileged in the possibility I have.
It's great. It's great. Look, maybe you'll show us around the workshop and show us a few bits that you're doing, and then I'm just looking at your bag, and I take it this is your bag because this looks like something that has been made by a craftsman as well.
Yes, it would have been made by a couple of craftsmen. So this is the front sail of a ship I worked on, and the ship had been dismantled now, and the sails were just left there. The boat was built was a Swedish trader, built in 1923. Okay. And the sails are probably not as old, but still, like, it was all stitched by hand. So I took it upon myself to just cut it in pieces and make like my bag out of it.
Oh, you made it? You made that yourself?
Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah.
That's nice.
But
again, no waste.
No, and it was part of the experience of all the riggers. Like back in the days when you would start working on a tall ship, you would have to make yourself like a ditty bag. If you were like a deckhand, you would make like a bag where to store all the tools to mend the sails.
Yeah.
So you would learn, to attach all the ropes, and you would learn to make the grommets. You would learn all the things, and when you were done with your bag, you had all the basic information to go up the rig and fix all the different parts of the sail.
Also, making the bag was part of the trade.
It was the training. Training.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
This is the boat you're working on at the moment, and it's what you're trying to get finished before you leave us in a couple of weeks.
That was the dream, to set this boat back in the water. And Ankara is some 120 years old, and she has been now in the workshop for almost 2 years. Okay. Waiting to be fixed. Was one of the very first boats that the association got. So, she's quite an important one for the club.
120 years old.
Yeah.
So this wood here is 120 years old.
Yeah, around 1900 she was built. We don't know exactly because these boats, being working boats, there isn't like the glamour that cherish them. As a fine sailing yacht.
So nobody broke a bottle of champagne on this when the first went on the water.
No, maybe a bottle of poutine, but
a bottle of poutine was possible, all right.
But and it's tough work to be a boat builders nowadays. It's kind of it doesn't respect very much the tradition, I would say. Back in the days, this would be a job divided between different professions. So like, who was putting the planks in place was not the same person putting the frames, and who was making the frames was not the same person drawing a boat, and the person caulking, filling up the seams between the planks. Yeah. These were very specialized workers that were only doing that. They were not dealing with any other part of the boat. While nowadays, a boat builder needs to do everything because we are just not enough to get so specialized. So I think it's tricky nowadays to do that. And the boat is a very complicated kind of organism because you have a lot of elements working together. You have like a mix of physics and chemistry that comes together because of of all the strength that the water has on the hull, and you have wood, you have iron, you have like the cotton in between, you have the chemicals that you use to protect the wood, and all these things, they work together. And this thing is like immersed in salt water. That is basically like a huge car battery that starts reacting with the iron and the metal in the hull, and it affects like the wood in different ways, like the salt water that gets in touch under the water line, and the fresh water from the rain that affects the wood over the water line, and they all like come together, like working and pushing and pulling like in different directions. It's a complicated matter, and one needs to have like a good degree of sensibility to just understand what is the best strategy to put in place when to take like a step like fixing a boat that is that has 120 years of history. So
why is the Galway hooker so kind of revered? In this part of the world anyways, in this little island, on this corner of this little island, it's quite a famous boat.
Well, for sure, it's, some of the passion for these boats come from the fact that they have been keeping people alive for centuries. Like, life in this side of the country was very much related to these workhorses that they were bringing around goods and people. Like, it was just like for the possibility that these boats gave to people to just sustain themselves in this side of the world as in others. Like, it's just, they are objects that were for sure like loved. But by the construction of it, you can understand like the very like functional task that these boats had in the past. They're easy to fix, they're easy to be, like all the pieces are easy to be taken and shifted and changed. And with the tides that you have in Ireland, it was like a very daily and quick thing. Like, tides goes down, as the boat is laying on the mud, you just like take off a plank, put up another one, and you're ready to go fishing. Like 6 hours later. It was like, it was daily work, and this is like something that the club and and everybody dealing with wooden boats, they need to get back that kind of confidence in just like doing the job. Like it's part of the life of the boat, and it's
So when the people come here to work, when the volunteers come here to work, then do you just like throw them into it? Here's a bit of sandpaper, have a go at that, or how much instruction is involved, or do people come already having enough knowledge to?
Well, I give courses to give the basic knowledge about working with tools, and I know their faces, so I know who have been here and who have been working with different tools. So I'm just gonna try to gauge a work that is up to their level of skills, and then like just a little bit of a challenge, just like to get a little bit forward, because you really have a development in the process when you start putting like some critical thinking into the process, and you start like evaluating the actions that you're doing. So I try to schedule a task that can be useful for them to get forward with
meet them
with
at
what
the
they're
stage
doing.
they're at, kind of, and development. That's that part of that flow experience we were talking about as well. It can't be too easy. It has to be a little bit challenging.
Absolutely, and there needs to be like the right amount of sweat involved. It's a tough work, and it's you came here this morning and you could hear me hammering like from the road, didn't you? Like it's.
What were you doing with that hammering? Can you show us a bit of that?
Yeah, I was caulking. I was just feeding like the space between the planks. I was just like driving this string of cotton in place. So like with a tool very similar to a dull chisel, we just like push the fibers in between the seams. And when the boat goes in the water, just the humidity is going to filter through the planks and is going to make this cotton expand, and that is going to make like a tight seal between the
just
between
watching
the
you
boards.
doing it, even that little thing called caulking,
Yeah.
it seems to take a bit of It's a bit of skill, to learn how to do that right. When you first said caulking, I was looking for a tube because I'm used to caulk being in a tube, but you're caulking with a rope.
Yeah. Yeah, back in the days, then on top of it, there would be like a layer of, we call it beck in Norwegian, bitumen basically, like it's gonna cover and keep the cotton in place. I think it's quite fun. I was looking. There is a passage on Dante's Divine Comedy.
Yeah.
At a certain point, like Dante, like he has all this image about like he's like traveling through hell and the purgatory and heaven, and he experienced like all different things. And when he is in hell, there are a lot of like there is these people like suffering like different penalties depending on what kind of like deranged life they had. And at a certain point, I think it's the 21st chant. And Dante gets into like this huge cave underground, and these people are like are basically like swimming in this black, gooey, boiling stuff, and there is fire falling from the sky, and it's like it's just pain and people screaming, and there is a lot of noise and this smell of burned stuff in the air, and it just gets to heaven, and the first thing to hell, and the first thing he says is like, this place is just like the shipyards in Venice. So it was probably not not the best
not the best advertisement for the trade.
No, but yeah, it was it is tough work for sure, but the reward is there.
The reward is there. I think the work itself tends to be the reward too when it comes to things like this. Sometimes.
Yeah, and I have to say, like as I said, like I got into boat building as a part of my evolution as a craftsman, and I was very interested in the object boat.
Yeah.
But I've never been a sailor myself. By then, like I'd never had anything to deal with salt water. My family always told me, like salt water, stay away from it, don't play with it. And as I finished like my first project, we finally had like ready to go in the water a boat of a guy that had been waiting years to see her finally going back. So when she was finally set in the water, the guy just told me, "Okay, let's go sailing." I was terrorized. I was like sailing. Like it never even crossed my mind like the possibility that would have been like part of the deal at all. So they just like tossed me on a boat and we went out. And it was like for me like until that point I've been looking at the sea as as a limit, as a border, as something that stops you from going places, and then suddenly like that challenge became a highway. Yeah. I never came back.
That was it. So that was the moment when you actually got on the boat in the water. You're like, oh, this is who I am.
Yeah.
This is me.
Yeah. And still, I have a lot to learn, and I'm not great of a sailor for sure. There is most of the people are gonna do better than me on a boat, but
Yeah.
It's worth everything.
You were telling me something about this hammer a while ago.
Yeah.
And about hammers.
Yeah. This is a mallet. This is a caulking mallet.
Okay.
So that's also another like tool that normally each boat builders make his own and brings it along. And they found they're dismantleable, so you can take away the handle, so you can pack it neatly and put it in your working bag. But yeah, what we were talking about is that normally I'm used to see these hammers with like a slit on the top, like with a cut through the body. And the reason is that being like a very noisy work, if you have a group of people working with them, it just like results in a very noisy endeavor. And since the hull of the boat is wood and is very thin, it also amplifies the sound a lot. So what a group of caulkers, what they used to do back in the days, was to open this cut progressively to tune all the hammers on the same note. So the noise would be there still, but it would be a little bit more pleasant to the ear, and you wouldn't get crazy after 8 hours of this mess. So these hammers that I found here, they don't have this cut, and that's probably due to the fact that there wouldn't be more than one person doing this job, since they are small boats.
Yeah.
But if you have to work on a bigger vessel, you just want a team working.
So they'd have a team, but they couldn't deal with the different tones that were coming out, that it was a bit distracting or a bit discombobulating.
Yeah.
So they tuned the hammers to make them all in tune. To me, imagine that it sounds like melodic.
Yeah.
When you'd hear people almost playing a tune, putting the boat together.
Yeah, it depends how many hours.
Yeah.
For how many hours.
Yeah.
that's really make the difference, I guess. Yeah, they're beautiful objects.
They are beautiful. They are beautiful. And do you have problems sourcing the wood?
Yes, I do. Yes, I
Yeah.
do. It's very hard to nowadays to find good material, and the quality of the wood anyway is not going to be. I cannot expect a plank shifted today to last as much as the old ones can. So it's very complicated. Fortunately, we have a very valuable guy, the owner of a sawmill outside town, and he have been building his own boat for the last 15 years. He's making a hobby, like a old working boat, and so he has the sensibility to actually be on the lookout for the right material that we need here at the association. So that's really an invaluable piece of help that we're getting. But still, it just makes the task a little bit easier.
Gives you another set of eyes looking for it who's in the business, but it doesn't make more material, I suppose.
Yeah.
Just can't talk.
Yeah.
I want to talk just kind of what I was saying.
Yeah. How many people would you have here working on the boat at one time?
Well, we have days when that I dedicate just to kind of share the informations about the work. So when some days of the week the workshop is just open to everybody, and the members, they can come down. Normally, if I have more than 8 people around, it starts to get a little bit too crowded, and then suddenly my job is more dedicated to find something to do to everybody than progressing with the work on the boats. So I try to keep the groups up to a maximum of 6-8 people.
Is there always people wanting to come down?
There is quite a follow-up. Yeah. People are very interested. Yes.
How, if somebody watching this now was deciding, you know what, I'm going to go and try and make some boats or have a go, and I wonder what that's about. How would they go about that? How would they get in contact?
Well, the club is very much open to everybody who wants to join, and it's a great opportunity to get in the water, and fixing and working on the boats is part of the experience for sure. So
And that's the Galway Hooker Sailing Club, is that?
Galway Hooker Sailing Club, they have a website that is very accessible, and one can just sign up and become a member and come down and just do the whole thing. I'm here, and the other boat builders, when I'm gonna leave, are gonna be here giving informations about the building. But on the side, other members are giving courses on navigation and reading charts and getting used to deal with tides and streams and whatnot, everything that is related to navigation and power boating and engines. So there is a lot of information to experience and to learn. So the club is it's a very good tool, I think, for the city, especially Galway, that has such a strong image related to the boats. So
absolutely. But now we're more about medical devices and factories and things like that. So it's kind of different. But
it's nice to have the chance to go out in the bay and experience a little bit of the sea life as well.
You're experiencing, I feel like doing stuff like this, you're experiencing a place. You know what I mean? You're experiencing Galway here more than you are in the factories. Or, okay, the pubs are definitely Galway too, but there's so much of the place Galway here. There's so much that it's the sea. It's the material, it's the people, it's you talked about the history of the working boats that these are, that it's really part of the place that you experience when you come and you learn this knowledge. You're not just learning knowledge that you can go and write in a book, you're learning about the place that you're in.
And the boats are, of course, a key element of the thing, but also the people are no less part of the whole experience. This whole endeavor comes with a community around it. So a lot of people, they just find a meeting place here, and it's just nice to have coffees and talk about boats and the big things of life. So that's part of the perk. I've been for me, it was an amazing experience to come here. The Irish themselves, they are very, very friendly people in general. I found out, but coming here and having the access to a city, having the possibility to interact with a community of people that are happy to have you here, and it just came with the perk of finding family from day one. So that's also part of the value of the whole experience.
It's the whole thing, like the community of people, the material, the actual learning, the flow experience that you get into when you're actually doing the working, the knowledge that you learn about the history and the place. I mean, it's very much a full life here, you know what I mean? And fulfilling in so many ways that seem to be absent in so much of our modern lifestyles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it's a beautiful thing you're doing here, and just the trade and the passing on and the living. As one of our friends said to you earlier, you know, many people when they come to death, they're probably thinking, did I really live though when I was alive? Was I just performing a role? What was I? Did I give myself? Did I express myself in this world while I was here? I think you're going to have a very clear yes, I did. At the end there, you're going to, oh hell yeah, I lived. I expressed myself. I've left my mark. You know what I mean?
I hope so. And I don't know, maybe as a last wish, I would like to be buried like the old-fashioned way in one of the boats that I made myself, and just be led out at sea on one of my little wooden boats. That wouldn't be bad.
No, that'd be a nice way to go. Yeah, like a true Viking. I feel like there's definitely a Viking in you. If you haven't seen the show, there's the Vikings. There's a boat builder in it called Floki. Yeah, you definitely. He reminds me of you. I was going to say you remind me of him, but that'd be unfair. He reminds me of you.
You would love to see all the characters that I deal with when I travel around dealing with boats.
I'd say
it comes with a community, for
I'd
sure.
say they're very unique characters too, because one thing a lifestyle like this allows you to do is express yourself. Is express your own true self in how you act and how you work and everything every day. And I think a lot of the characters the modern world creates or forms are rather dull, rather monotone, you know, often dressed the same, often the same things to say, often talk about the same things. But in this kind of environment, there's a lot more freedom of expression. It's not only there, it's pulled out of people. Who are you? Show it to the boat, show it to the wood, you know, engage. So I love that about this. Sebastian, is there anything else you want to show us?
Well, I want to ask you, will we see you down at the workshop anytime soon?
Oh, I've sold it, now I have to buy it. I'll come down. I'll give you a hand down here. I'll definitely. I think it'll be an enjoyable way to spend the day, for sure. Yeah. So yeah, you will see me down here.
What can I say? Like I'm very bad with social media. I think everybody like around me speaks about that. How bad I am with social media. But if anybody is curious and they want to see like what my next adventure will be and what I'm up to, like I have a page on Instagram that is kind of like the best way to get in touch with me.
Okay.
So under the name like Seb Said.
Seb Said, how do you spell it?
SEB _side. Like it's my side of things.
Oh, SIDE.
Yeah.
Seb Said. Okay.
Yeah. So you find me there, and you can see the wonderful boats that I'm working on, and try to pinpoint me on a map if you can.
Where is it you said you're going next? Sweden?
I'm going to Sweden to work on the Gothenburg. There is a copy of a 1700 like galleon. So we're gonna work on that. Is a museum boat, so it's still kept like with the old-fashioned way. So like only natural fibers are used, like in the rigging, and they use tar and and sweat to keep it together. So it's gonna be a great adventure.
How long will you be up there?
Not for long, unfortunately, because I have my next mission in Italy right after. So I'm gonna be there for like some 3 weeks. And hopefully I'm going to make the contacts to maybe have the chance to sail with them whenever the boat is ready. That's my hope, but I can't.
Lovely. Well, here we might be in touch and catch up with you in some other part of the world someday. It might be nice for us to go and visit some other project and see you at work there.
I think there's the risk I'm going to be back in Galway.
The risk? Okay, well, I think Galway's got you a little bit, so has it?
It's impossible not to.
Good.